Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Friends, can I ask you to take your seats so we can begin our worship service? Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to Temple Sinai. It's my honor on behalf of our Board of Trustees, Rabbi Aviva Bass, and student cantor Dan Geigerman to welcome you. And folks, why don't you all welcome our choir.
Welcome back. We've missed you.
And I also want to welcome the folks who are joining us remotely across North America. Cameras
And
up
beyond.
that direction. I'm Lynn Weinstein, co-president of our congregation, along with Betty Adams. And we are just thrilled to see you here in the sanctuary this evening. Before we start our service, may I remind you to silence cell phones and other electronic devices, please. Later in the service, we'll have some greetings and announcements, but please pick up your prayer books and join together in prayer and song on this beautiful Shabbat.
Okay, I'm so happy to see all of you and to actually see faces. It's so wonderful, so wonderful. So welcome. We're going to start tonight with a song, Hine Matov.
Hine Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
We also want to give a big thank you and a welcome to Dr. David McFarland, who is our regular accompanist. Many of you who are here or watching from remote know of David, but we were so excited about the choir that we didn't mention David, but thank you, David, as well. We also give a hearty mazel tov to the Egan family because Ethan is becoming a bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. And so we're going to invite Ethan's grandmother, Andrea Fagan, and Ethan and his father, Dr. Jordan Egan, to please come up to do us the honor of lighting the candles and saying the Kiddush over the wine.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu bar mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadriknei shel Shabbat.
Amen. Jordan. Jordan. Ethan. Here. Nope.
Rihagafen. Amen.
Amen.
You can have a little taste. You're becoming a bar mitzvah, Ethan. Yeah. You mean you didn't have 4 cups of wine at the Seder? Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, whoop. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Sorry. That was my fault. Yes. I'll put this here. Okay. Thank you both very much. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Mazel tov. Okay, we continue now on page 142 with the Shalom Aleichem as we welcome one another and all the angels of Shabbat who are with us and our angels on the internet as well. Page 142, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Archuni Leshalom Malachei Hashalom Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And we turn now to page 138 for one of my favorites. It would not feel like Kabbalat Shabbat without this one. Lachadodi, page 138 and 139. And as is our custom here, we are going to be singing verses 1, 2,
9.
and 9. Oh,
Yeah.
as is not our custom here. We're
Otherwise
actually
we'll be
going
here
to
all
skip
night.
5. We're doing 1, 2, and 9 tonight. So we're going to skip all the way to 9. And when we do, I'll go like this. We'll stand up and we'll invite by our presence, the Shabbat bride into our midst. Page 138.
Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, lekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, lekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Hishmiyanu el hamyochad, Adonai echad, Ushem bo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'li tfilah, Lecha dodi, Rad kala, Shabbat, Kabela, Chadodi, Rad Kala, Shabbat, Kabela, Likrat Shabbat, Lechu B'nelcha, Ki Mekor Habracha, Nerosh Mikedem Nesucha, Sof Ma'aseh B'machshavat Chila, Lecha dodi, Rad Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kabela, Rad Kala, Shabbat, Kabela.
Verse 9.
Loi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi, Rad kala, Shabbat, Kabela, Rad kala, Shabbat, Kabela,
Those who are able to do so, please remain standing as we turn to page 146 for the Baruch.
Yai,
Please take a seat. As we turn to page 148 for the Ma'ariv Aravim.
Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yibaro ma'ariv aravim, ma'ariv aravim. Bechokma poteach sheharim, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם, מרקיע כרצונו. יאי די 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 די. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 dai. Borei yom v'layla, golelo mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Mahavir yom umevir layla umavdil ben yom uben layla Adonai tzevaot shemo El chai v'chayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim.
We're having a little bit of feedback. We'll fix that. I just want to ask, please, those who are in our sanctuary, if you could keep conversation to a minimum. You may think you're whispering, but the acoustics brings everything up here, and we're all trying to concentrate on what we're doing up here and to really pray. So please keep that to a minimum if you could. Okay, we continue now with the Ahavat Olam on page 150, and if you could read with me in the English, please. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love for us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We rise for Listen, the Shema, page 152.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Listening to the choir, I would never have known that you haven't been singing every week for the past couple of years. You sound beautiful. Your blend is just gorgeous, really beautiful. So let's read together on page 155 the interpretive translation of the Ve'ahavta. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. We're going to turn now to page 160, which is the Hashkivenu prayer. And I really think of this. There is a beautiful children's siddur that was put together by the Reform movement several years ago, and it was so beautiful, had lots of pictures, and it has a beautiful poem about the Hashkivenu, and I've always remembered this image of being wrapped in a warm blanket. And that's really what we're asking of God here, to make every person who is in need at this time, of whom we have so many, not only in our community, but certainly all over the world. So we're asking, please, wrap us all in this warm blanket. So if you're someone who is feeling you're doing pretty good this week, this was a good week, you're feeling pretty strong, send out your prayers to others in your heart. Just think of others that you may know of, or places like the Ukraine that you want to send out your love and blessing when we say this prayer. And for those who really need that warm blanket, take it in. Take in all the voices around you and the beautiful voices up here. The Hashkivenu is Hapurei Sukkot Shalom, which is the last words of the Hashkivenu on page 160.
Baruch atah Adonai Haporei Sukkot Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Haporei
We come now to the Tefillah or Amidah. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to rise, those of you who are able to do so, but I want to give you a little insight into the pagination. Some of you have never been here before, and some of you are here after a long departure. So I just want to, I'm so glad you're back. I want to just reintroduce you to the Siddur. So we begin the Tefillah on page 164 together in the Hebrew, and we go on to the even-numbered pages 166, 168, and 170, at which time, after the Hebrew blessing on page 170, we'll go into a time of silent prayer and reflection. And I invite you to use this time to really pray however you feel silently. But when you are finished, to please sit down so we know when we should continue with our service. We begin together as we rise on page 164 for the Tefillah.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu vi agiteni latecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel chasadim tovim vekonei hakol v'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot umevi geula livnei bneihem leman shemo be'ahava melech ozer u'moshia u'magen Baruch atah Adonai Makin Abraham Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atara Behoshia Morid Hatal Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim Tomech noflim verofei cholim umatir asurim umekayem emunato lishenei afar michtamocha ba'al gevurot umido mehelach melech memit umechayeh umasmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kedoshim b'chol yom yehallelu chasela Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
So those of you who have been here for years in the past may know that, or may from other places know that this is the time when we are counting, and we count the Omer in this synagogue for every time we have a Shabbat, an Erev Shabbat during the Omer period. Let's review a little bit about the Omer, and I want to teach a little bit about the Kabbalistic, the mystical underpinnings of some of the understandings of counting the Omer. So what am I talking about? So what I'm talking about is the time period between Pesach, the festival of our liberation, and Shavuot, the festival of revelation. Those 49 days we count. We began counting, you may have noticed, you may have done this in your homes, on the second night, if you had a Seder. If you flip to the very back of the Seder and you've never noticed it before, they always put an Omer count for the first night of the Omer for the second night of Pesach, because you count between, after the first night, you count for the second day on. So we have 49 days between Pesach and Shavuot, and we count upwards, which is a little bit different than I think most of us are used to counting. When we're expecting a big event in our lives, we usually count downwards. But here we're counting upwards because we're trying to elevate ourselves as we're approaching this wonderful holiday of revelation of Shavuot. And we're supposed to feel as if we stood at Sinai, and our ancestors did, and we have this connection. And just as we felt at the Seder table, as if we ourselves were liberated, we should feel that we ourselves receive revelation. And there are Kabbalistic understandings that on midnight, which is not exactly midnight on the clock, but middle of the partitions of the day, as they count them from sunrise to twilight, at midnight on Shavuot, in whatever time zone you're in, your midnight, that the heavens are open to our pleas in a greater way, just as they are on Yom Kippur, and to our questions. And we may feel that we have some answers if we really listen to the voice within. So to be ready for that, we have to count up. We get ourselves ready by elevating ourselves. So how do we do this? And what does this have to do with Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism? So this is one instance that when those of you who are joining us remotely will be able to see what I'm referring to better than those of us who are here in the sanctuary. But I invite you, if you want to see this, I can show it to you, those of you who are in the sanctuary, later. But I'm going to hold up here. This is a chart of the Sfirot. So if you can see nothing else, you can at least see that there are these circles, interconnecting circles of different colors. They don't have to be of different colors, but it's easier to see. This was a very good one. You can find all different ones. If you look on the internet, you can find many of them. And what this chart of Sfirot, what Sfirot are meant to be divine emanations. So we aren't meant to draw God. Nobody knows what God looks like, right? But we have an idea that we're connected to God in God's image, that some of God is within each of us. So how can we imagine that? So this is, in the Kabbalistic imagination, how the attributes of God are interconnected and how they're connected to us. And if we learn from them, then we can grow and become better people, which is really what we're trying to do. What any religion is trying to do is to make all of us, each individually as well as collectively, better people. And we want to be in time for Shavuot. So what I'm going to do is explain what these different circles are. We see on the very top, it says Keter. You can't see it, but take my word for it. Those on YouTube can see it. It says Keter. Keter means the crown, or it says here emunah, will or pleasure, but it's actually the only part that is not actually accessible to human beings. This is the part that is really God creating everything else. Okay, so this is really kind of the Godhead, although all of this is part of God and part of us. Then we have Bina and Chokhmah, which are, Bina is intellect. Here it says intuition. Chokhmah is more wisdom. So we have intellect on one side and wisdom on the other. And in the middle we have what's called Da'at. It says here inner consciousness, but it's that combination of knowing and that we try to reach here in Da'at. That's not a separate circle, but that's the combination of these two. The ones I want to really draw your attention to are Chesed and Gevurah. And Chesed is loving kindness, open compassion, giving very, very freely to others. And then Gevurah is boundedness. It's also judgment and restraint. And so anyone who's ever parented a child, or maybe if you've been a child of parents, you were parenting you well, know that there has to be something that's between that. If you are just giving, open the doors and just give whatever your child wants, you're not going to have a very well-behaved child at the end of it. But on the other hand, if you're only setting limits and not giving the compassion and the pats on the back and the praise and everything that a child needs, that's the abundant loving kindness, that's too much there. So the sweet spot is right here, and that's called Tiferet, which means beauty. Then we have here Hod and Netzach. I'm just going to mention what they are, but I'm going to go back to the Gevurah and Chesed in a moment. The Hod and Netzach, here it says, I have different translations and different things, but Netzach is usually courage, and that's what it says here. Hod is kind of gratitude. Yesod is the foundation. And then we have at the very bottom Malchut. And Malchut is, Malchut comes from Melech, or Malkah. And this is the part of God that is actually closest to us. This is the part that's also called the Shekhinah, which is the feminine name for God, and it's closest and indwelling to us. So why am I showing you this now? What does this have to do with counting the Omer? Well, what the Kabbalists did with this chart is that they said during these 49 days, we have 7 weeks of 7 days in which we can build our character and we can try to emulate God by trying to take on these characteristics. So there are 7 of these sfirot, the 7 lowest sfirot, starting with Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut. Those are the 7 that we use for these 7 weeks to try to get into our own psycho-spiritual selves and to improve ourselves. So I'm going to show you another chart. They don't all look like this, but this is a very good chart to see because you can see all of the different colors here. So every week has a different one of these sfirot, these emanations, these characteristics that we're trying to emulate in ourselves. We try to make ourselves more godly by becoming closer to these. So the one that we are just ending now is Chesed. Chesed is the abundant loving kindness. But in each of the days of the week, you also have a subset of one of those 7. So for example, oops, am I still on? Yep, okay. So for example, tonight, when we count 6 plus 1, and I'll tell you why it's 6 plus 1 in a moment, it's actually the day of Malchut, which was that lowest sfirah, the day of the Shekhinah, but within the week of Chesed. So they try to put these two together to say, okay, this day in this particular week, this is how you can put these together and things that you can think about. Now, there are many different interpretations by many different rabbis and scholars. If you go on the internet, you can find Omer meditations or Sphira meditations, and you'll find many of them. So, for example, there's one that I found that I like, that I've used for several years. Whoops. Am I going in and out? Yep, a little bit. Okay, I'll hold it. Okay, so I found one that happens to be available online from aish.com. There are many places that you can look on the internet to get it. That's this. I think it's this. I'm going to hold it. Okay. You want to try to switch it out for a different microphone? I'll use the Bima microphone. If this is on. Is this on? Hello. Okay, so we'll just use this. We won't use this. We'll fix that for the next time. Okay, so Aish is one of those websites that is, it is orthodox. It is not necessarily where I would find all of my information. I know that it has every website, every type of learning has its own bias. So I draw from different sources. We just have to be careful that they're Jewish, because some of them, hide other things, and they're messianic, and they use a lot of the language of, they use a lot of Hebrew. They even make talitot now that say things about Jesus in Hebrew on the Atarah, and people don't know and buy them on the internet. So you just have to be careful about that. But Aish is an orthodox, very orthodox website, but it has wonderful, wonderful spiritual things. I don't look at it, for example, for anything to do with gender roles or women's role in Judaism. I know that that's not something I'm going to get there, but what I may get there, and I do get there, is very deep spiritual understanding of Kabbalah and Chassidut. Chassidut is also this spiritual underpinning. So tonight, which is 6 + 1, we don't say the number until we actually say the blessing. So that's why I'm saying 6 + 1. So tonight is Malchut of Chesed, which is nobility in loving kindness. So I'm going to read I'm going to give you an example of how we can use this in our lives, that it's actually something tangible that we can say, okay, every day during this time, I'm going to do something for myself and exercise to improve myself. So this says, mature love, because this is the week of love, mature love comes with and brings personal dignity, dignity being malchut, that aspect of ourselves that is kingly or queenly, that is royal. An intimate feeling of nobility and regality, knowing your special place and contribution in this world. Any love that is debilitating and breaks the human spirit is no love at all. For love to be complete, it must have the dimension of personal sovereignty. So the exercise for the day that it says here is to highlight an aspect of your love that has bolstered your spirit and enriched your life, and celebrate. So some of these are exercises that you might actually want to write and journal. I have done that in the past too. I was taking each night and writing something, if you're someone who likes journaling. But what I have found here, that this is a way for people who really are trying to find a way to connect with their Judaism on a daily level. How does this connect with my feeling of spirituality? I come to synagogue, I may or may not feel God's presence there. I may feel God's presence out in nature, or when I'm painting, or when I'm walking, or when I'm gardening. I don't necessarily feel it here, and I just can't, I have this disconnect, and I did when I was a young adult myself. I found my Judaism in college a lot because of the existence of Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. And so you want to have some kind of personal meaning with this, and I have found that this is one way that we can connect our spirituality to the depth of our religion, which has a lot of depth to it if you start to learn more and more. So I encourage you all to look these up. If you want some more insights from me afterwards, you want some references, I can give you some. But I hope you'll all take the time to really think about this. How can we make this relevant so that we're ready for Revelation when Shavuot comes along in 6 weeks? Because we're going to count the Omer tonight, and we'll see what it is. So that's the next thing we're going to do. So please rise as we count the Omer. We're going to say the blessing first, which is Al Sfirat HaOmer. And you can also find the count online too. They have the Hebrew of the count and the English of the count. But we will just do this in English. We'll say the blessing, and then we'll do it in English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. Today is day 7 of the Omer, which is 1 week of the Omer. And you'll remember, a week ago, you were at your Seder tables, hopefully. Okay, so please take a seat. Thank you so much. And I wish you well in counting every day and making it count. Okay, so we're going to continue now with some announcements of our sponsors.
Betty is going to join us in just a moment. But before Betty provides you with some information, I'd just like to share with all of you who are here and those who are viewing that we would invite all of you to join us on Wednesday evening at 6:30 when our congregation commemorates the beginning of Yom HaShoah just before sundown. Here in our sanctuary, we will honor the survivors who are members of this congregation. We will pay tribute to those among us who might have been part of the liberation forces. We will also memorialize those who perished in the Shoah. That evening, we will have special guests with us, including Mayor Petrolia and Councilwoman Casal from Delray Beach, who will be presenting something very special to this congregation and this community in Delray Beach. And also Dr. Jenny Frumer, who is the new director of the Morse Life Foundation, supporting the Holocaust survivors throughout Palm Beach County. Please plan to join us for that evening program and prayer. 6:30.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Betty Adams, co-president of Temple Sinai, along with Lynn Weinstein and accidental choir member. Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Aviva and student Cantor Dan, for a beautiful and meaningful service, and Dr. Dave McFarland, and of course my fellow choir members. I love that. I love being there. First of all, we have some sponsors to thank, and I'm going to make a quick note. We've gotten in the habit of calling everybody beloved, and everybody is beloved in memory, in honor of, and we're going to just assume that everybody we're reading about that's being memorialized or honored is beloved. That'll probably save us 5 minutes of the service, so just letting you know. Our Shabbat services this weekend are sponsored by Madeline and Melvin Mogel in memory of Madeline's father, Max Levy, Elaine and Arnold Drapkin in memory of Arnold's mother, Sarah Drapkin, Judy and Barry Friedfeld in memory of their fathers, Sam Friedfeld and Sam Bunkin, Marilyn and Dr. Gerald Wilk in memory of their daughter, Amy Brooke Wilk, Helene and Sidney Wortel in memory of Sidney's father, Charles Wortel, Judy and David Stern in memory of Judy's mother, Millie Wechter, Andy and Seth Dinsky in memory of Seth's father, William Dinsky, Harvey Fields in memory of his son, Mitchell Fields, Maria Lee Sinal in memory of her husband, Dr. Eugene Sinal, Harriet Stein and Samuel Shapiro in memory of Harriet's husband, Marty Stein, and Samuel's wife, Carol Shapiro. Charles Plotkin, in memory of his wife Natalie and children Abby Plotkin and Alan Plotkin. The following donations to the community food pantries were sponsored by Marilyn and Arnold Glass in honor of their wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary. Ruth Helzik in memory of her husband Bob Helzik. Sylvia Yodowitz in memory of her husband Manuel Yodowitz. Terry Cantor and Alan Cantor in memory of Terry's husband and Alan's father, Donald Cantor. And Oneg sponsorships, Andy and Seth Dinsky in memory of Seth's father, William Dinsky. Ursula and Harry Reiner in honor of their wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary. Anita Goldstein in honor of her birthday. Happy birthday. See, I'm getting into another habit here. Elaine and Steve Young in honor of Elaine's birthday. Happy birthday. I can't help it. I just have to. Stephen Kirshner in honor of his birthday. Happy birthday. And Nathan Sklar in honor of his birthday. Happy birthday, of course, of course. And our Saturday, April 23rd Shabbat Torah study is sponsored by Gloria Levin in memory of her father, Albert Fox, Sidney Honig in memory of his mother, Eleanor Honig, Andy and Seth Dinsky in memory of Seth's father, William Dinsky, Eleanor Goldman in memory of her father, Theodore Harrison, Charles Plotkin in memory of his wife, Natalie, and children, Abby Plotkin and Alan Plotkin. And some brief announcements. Lynn already told you about Wednesday night. Everybody, we need to get our journal ads and jewels in, please. The deadline is coming up May 2nd. It doesn't seem like it's that close, but it really is. And also, if you have anybody that you think you could sell an ad to, a doctor, a dentist, a hairdresser, or something, we can have forms for you to do that. It's not too late. You can still do that. Judy Stern's here tonight. Maybe you can turn them into her. She'd be very happy. Havdeli is back. Saturday, May 7th, Temple Sinai Hospitality Committee presents scrumptious deli sandwiches, sides, drinks, desserts, and a really cute movie called Tango Shalom. It really is cute. And of course, Havdalah. Yes, Havdalah is a big part of Havdeli. Forms are in the lobby and on our website, templesinai.pbc.org. And don't forget, Saturday morning Shabbat services in the sanctuary and virtually at 10 a.m. Torah study on Zoom at 12:30. And Brotherhood Bingo Breakfast, May 22nd. There are flyers in the lobby, and you can sign up for that tonight or bring them home and tell your bingo-loving friends. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And once again, we wish a mazel tov to the Egan family and Ethan, who will become a bar mitzvah at the service tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we're looking forward to that service. Okay, so I think we are ready for the Aleinu, page 586, and we rise as the ark is opened.
It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were free to do. For what's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu l'shabeach. It's time to live our praise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol. Lateit gedula le'oseh reshit shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem vegor aleinu kechol ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל ביום ההוא
Please be seated. I realize that we did not do a blessing for healing, and I don't want to skip over it because I know that there are a lot of people in our congregation and in our community who are in need of healing at this time. So I'd like to interject a healing blessing, the Misha Berach. And if you have a name or names you are thinking of, I have a list here of who we know are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit. But if you have a name that you want to say, please say that aloud now. So for all of those who have been named and all of those good people around the world who need healing, we sing this healing Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avoteinu, Mishaberach Imotenu, heal us and heal our world. Mishaberach Avoteinu, Mishaberach Imotenu, heal us and heal our world. We pray for health and healing of body and spirit and mind, and for all who suffer, may their pain go away in good time. Mishaberach Avoteinu, Mishaberach Imotenu, heal us and heal our world. Mishaberach Avoteinu, Mishaberach Imotenu, heal us and heal our world.
Thank you. So I'll say lahavdil. Lahavdil means to distinguish, and it's something that people say when they talk about life and then they talk about death. So we're making a havdalah, a distinction between them. As we turn to page 592 and think of those who have gone before us. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. At this time, we recall those whose yahrzeits, the anniversary of their passing, occur at this time. Those whose names are illuminated on the plaques surrounding the sanctuary: Mayor Louis Aaron, Sonia Bieder, Judith L. Bresloff, Rita C. Burness, Norma Newman Cohen, Sarah Cohen, Family Davis, Zelda Dolgan, Ida Saffron Friedman, Elaine Guerin, Louis Guerin, Isidore J. Gornstein, Rebecca Gornstein, Bob Helzick, Eleanor Heinig, Layla Joseph, Hyman Stort Kaplan, Shirley Lish, Mark London, Beatrice Mothner, Harry Nadelberg, Linda Rose, Jenny Rosen, Carolyn Smith, Sydney Sussman, Millie Wechter, Francine Carla Walensky, Manuel Yadowitz. Others recalled at this time: Annette Abraham Heller, Sam Bunkin, Sarah Drapkin, Anne Falkoff, Albert Fox, Sam Friedfeld, Celia Gable, Renee Grossman, Theodore Harrison, Bernard Helfand, Lillian Hurwitz, Archie Lent, David Richmond, Dorothy K. Solkoff, Henry Turner, Charles Wartell, and Amy Wilk. We also recall with sadness the more recent passings in the last 30 days, the Shloshim period, of Simone Tenser, Esther Weinberg, and Dr. Eugene Senal. If you are recalling someone at this time whose name I did not read, please raise your hand and I'll indicate to you to please say the name aloud.
Mitchell Postal, Peter Silverman.
Okay, so for all of those whom we have named, as well as all of those who were murdered in the Shoah, we rise in solidarity with mourners everywhere as we turn to page 598 and recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ulal me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrobam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shemeda kudasha, barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shalom araba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, shmitevel v'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all who mourn among us. And let us all say, amen.
Amen.
Please be seated as we sing a concluding song, or learn a concluding song.
Yes. So not only was this morning the final day of Pesach, not only are we counting the Omer, not only did we have all of these wonderful things, but it's also Earth Day. And so I thought this is a wonderful song. It's a very popular Israeli dance song. It's called Adama V'Shamayim. And if you know nigunim, the wordless melodies that we use, what sort of nonsense syllable do we usually use?
Yai-dai.
Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, or something along that lines. Well, this one uses a different one. You use hey and ya. Okay, hey ya, hey, kind of like Yah. Yah is another name for God. So it goes like this: Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Try that with me. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Adama v'shamayim, chom ha'er, tzlil ha'mayim, ani margish zote gufi, veruchi v'nishmati. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Love the earth,
Of the earth,
love the sky,
of the sky,
heat of fire,
fire,
drop of water.
of water.
I can feel it in my body, in my spirit, in my soul. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho. Hey ya, 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 ho.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Beautiful. And we have something special that you may not have seen for a week. It's a challah. So I'm going to just explain. Most of our congregation, I think, is in the Reformed tradition. We are a Reformed congregation, so we celebrate that the seventh day is the last day of Pesach, and thus we are stopping we're eating chametz tonight. But if you are of the tradition that you're keeping an eighth day, and you are not yet ready to eat challah, we also have matzah available. Okay, so let's say the motzi.
Inu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Please join us for an oneg.